I thought I'd do a little bit of a philosophical video today. So, why carry a traditional knife or a slip joint knife? I like to call them traditional just because not every traditional knife is a slip joint. A slip joint is a knife that doesn't have a lock and uses essentially the spine to hold the knife open. It uses it as basically a spring that locks it or holds it into place. But it's not an actual lock per se. So there are also lockbacks that are traditional knives, as well as some liner locks. I don't have a liner lock here. So what else makes a traditional knife? What is a traditional knife? Well, it's actually a really hard question to answer. Some people say that a guy like this is a traditional knife, or this, good old Swiss Army knife. And so to speak, they've been around since the 1900s in various forms, and they've been like this for quite some time. I'm not exactly sure how long they've had the red scales or the aluminum alloy scales. But I don't know, to me they don't feel as traditional, but I guess you can consider them as such. Well, they are slip joints, and they have a bit of a history behind them. But for me, I like to stick to knives that are either bone or wood handled, have that old look about them. And well, often discussed on different forums, and you get here on YouTube as well. Why would you carry something that's so dated? And it's a good question. Like, why would I? Well, I think there's several reasons why I've moved back to them. I used to carry the, I guess, more tactical one-hand opener knives, and I still do occasionally carry my good old Sebenza. I like the knife. It's nice and it's handy to have a knife that opens one-handed, and for certain jobs and whatnot where you do need a single hand to open a knife, I think they are really useful. I liked it for when I was gardening and whatnot to have a knife, because my other hand was holding something, or I was up on a ladder. So I do think they have a place, but I don't think that they're the only way to go. One of the disadvantages of them is they're quite bulky. I don't think they age as nice. They don't have the same character. But they definitely have their role. I can't say they're useless, and you can't knock people for using them. But at the same time, I think the traditionals have something special about them too. And I think one of the first things is you can just see the variety they have. There's so many different patterns, there's so many different scales. There's just a lot of uniqueness to them. So if you want to carry something that's quite unique, I think that a traditional blade fills that role quite nicely. Another thing I find quite nice with them is that they often have carbon steel blades, which is you don't see very often. Actually, there are almost no carbon steel blades in more your up-to-date tactical style one-hand opener folders. And the neat thing about carbon steel is it really develops character over time. So the knife kind of ages with you. It gets nice and gray, and I don't have any really old ones here because I don't own any old slip joints. I'm kind of building my character myself with them. And you can see, so this one's fairly new, but this one's a little bit older. And you can see that it's quite a lot grayer, a little darker areas here, and it adds some character to the knife. I think that's pretty cool. And the handles age as well. Like, you get the nicks and whatnot in them. They get like this more yellow than when I first got it. This is about 1.5 years old. And the spine gets a nice color as well. And I like that. I like that the knife ages with you. Kind of leaves something to be desired in a knife. Often the tactical knives, especially the stainless steel, other than a few scratches, it looks exactly the same. It'll look exactly the same 20-30 years from now. So and some people don't like to have that like brand new look or whatnot, but I kind of like something that kind of like more like us. It's more like, I'm not really a guy that believes in soul or whatever, but there's something special about it. Another thing I think that's nice about these, I think they're a great knife in the way that they're diplomatic in a sense, because you bring a big knife like this, or an Emerson or whatnot, a big Spyderco, and you crack that up to cut up an apple. But there's definitely people there that they turn their head, they think, what the hell is that guy doing with that huge knife? And then you cut open an apple and they're like, wow, he's going to cut open an apple, and then he's going to cut open our face next. So you have those people around, and we call them sheeple or whatever we want to do. And problem is, if you scare people with knives, you're making a knife enemy. And I don't think that's a good thing as a knife. Like, we are, every day there's less and less of us people that carry knives daily, and I think making more enemies against us is not in our favor. And like, I know there's other people, oh, it's my right to carry a big knife, and it is your right. You can go ahead and do so. And if you want to do it, and if you need it for work, by all means, go ahead. The problem is when someone gets freaked out by a knife and he says, oh yeah, there's that guy at work, he's a nut, he carries a huge knife, and then you get negative talk about knives. And I think the more negativity that goes around knives, the worse it is for us. So I think that one of the things nice about a traditional knife is that they just don't have that same scare appeal. Especially something like these guys as well, they have that too. You pull out a small little knife and you cut open an apple, it just doesn't scare people the same way. There are the odd person that will always be scared, and well, what can you do with them? But I think especially if you work in an environment where there's just, you have a lot of mix of people, they're a great knife to use. For myself, I work in a hospital, so I have to be somewhat discreet with my knives because I work with different people from all different backgrounds and whatnot, and part of my job is to be able to be sociable with people. I can't be working with someone and then pull out a giant knife and freak them out and be like, it's my right, because I have to be taking care of people. That's what my role is in the hospital. So it's not about my rights, it's about doing my job. So that's one of the reasons why I personally switched over to them. It's just because in my line of work, I just can't be carrying around a big fat knife. I have to be more diplomatic in my role, but I still want to carry a knife. So for me, the slip joint is the diplomatic way to do it. And I think they're beautiful knives. They really are something special. The last reason I think they're a good thing is because I think they make people slow down in life a little bit. We're always rush. Oh, we need to be here quick. We need information quick. We need this quick. We need everything quick. And I think that quick makes we don't slow down and enjoy life as much as the people in the past did. Back in the day when people needed information, they had to go to a library and take their time to find it. When people had to use a knife, they had to use two hands to slowly open it and cut open their apple to enjoy. And I think that for us to have something that does slow us down a little bit, in our busy lives or ever so quickening lives, it's good to have something that just slows you down a little bit. And you can have a look at your knife and enjoy the scales or enjoy the blade. I think that's a really good thing for people, and it is for me. I sometimes get caught up in the quickness thing and whatnot, and I know a lot of people do today, just because everything we have is at our fingertips, and we need to get here and there and everywhere so quickly. But I think at the same time, it's good to slow down once in a while as well. So yeah, that's my say on why a slip joint. Kind of long-winded response, but whatever. So you can share your thoughts on why you carry or will never carry a slip joint, or other reasons why you think they're kind of special.